All right, welcome back, everybody. Today we're going to be talking about where to invest your retirement money. And I'm not going to tell you individual places to do it. I'm talking about the different accounts you can put your money in to invest for retirement. You can put them in things that are really good for you, very big tax advantages, or you can just put them in terrible places. And we're going to talk about both. So buckle up. We'll start with the accounts that most people have already available to them: checkings account, savings account. These are terrible places to save for your retirement. They're liquid. If you need the money, it's available. And while that's an advantage for your month-to-month bills and it's an advantage for emergency funds, is a huge disadvantage when you're trying to build wealth. You don't want to have that money available to you. More than likely, it will not build. If it's available to you, it's probably going to be gone. So make sure you're not saving in a checking or savings account for retirement. You will lose money to inflation, and money market account is really no different than either of those two. High yield CDs, if they say high yield, it's like Greenland and Iceland. It's like affordable, throwing that word in places that it really doesn't fit. High yield is like high caution. You don't want to invest in those for retirement, for long-term savings. They're okay if you have a short-term goal, but they are not a retirement savings. You're going to lose money toward inflation. You're just going to lose buying power having a high yield as a place you're saving for retirement. The place most people start their retirement savings is an IRA, individual retirement account. An IRA will lower your taxable income. The amount you put into your IRA comes off of your annual taxes and lowers your tax bracket potentially. Money grows tax deferred. There are some limits annually. They are going up in 2022. If you are over 50, they have a makeup amount that you can put in there. It's an extra $1,000. So consider that if you are saving later in life, or know somebody that is, let them know that there's more money that can go into their retirement accounts. There are penalties and fees if the money is taken out before 59 and a half, and after 59 and a half, the money that you do withdraw from an IRA is taxed as income. So be prepared for that. So with that, it means the money in your account that it shows on your statement for your IRA is not the full amount that's available to you, because there will be taxes on that money when you do withdraw that money. Mandatory distributions start at 72. So if you are living well and you don't need the money out of your IRA, the government doesn't care. They want you to start taking money out of your IRA. So at 72, there are mandatory distributions, and you cannot contribute to an IRA after 70 and a half. So you can't withdraw your money and say, oh, it's mandatory withdrawal, I'm going to put it back into an IRA. They won't let you do that. So they have that covered. The next option is a Roth IRA. You do pay taxes on your money before you put it into your Roth IRA account. The one advantage of that is your money grows tax-free. The amount in your account is your true value of the account, because you are not going to be paying taxes on it when you withdraw that money. And generally, it is tax-free and penalty-free if you withdraw it after 59 and a half. There are no mandatory distributions at any age, and there are limits annually. And much like the IRA, there is, if you're over 50, there is a catch-up amount that you can put in, an extra $1,000. So keep that in mind. It gives you a place to put some additional money for retirement. You can contribute at any age. And just remember that your money has been taxed before it goes in there. And there are penalties and fees, just like an IRA, if you take the money out before 59 and a half. Some businesses offer their staff a 401k plan. So we're going to talk about that. Generally, there is a money match option. Even if you're offered a 401k, if you aren't saving any money, they aren't going to contribute. save money in your 401k. Even if it's a 3% match, where you put in 3%, they match at 3%, you just got a 3% raise. You saved a certain amount of money, and they doubled that amount that went into your savings. Some 401k plans can be encompassed under a Roth plan, and if that is true at your business, your Roth 401k limit is substantially higher than the amount that can be put into a regular Roth IRA. In 2022, it's going to be $19,500. So that encompasses the amount that the company puts in there for you and the amount you save. But it can be substantially higher than a regular Roth. Some businesses offer their staff a pension plan. This is becoming more and more rare. These are generally funded by the employer, but some of them do allow staff to contribute to their pension. And if you do contribute to your pension, a lot of them are pre-tax dollars. So it can lower your tax bracket like an IRA. They usually become larger with years of service and pay increases, and are guaranteed income at the end of your service there. They do generally have a 5 to 10 year vesting plan to get invested into the pension. So be prepared for that. There is a time sink involved with working for a company before they invest in your retirement, if this is their plan. So if there is a lack of liquidity, if you do happen to need the money, you can take money out of the other plans we talked about, but there'll be fees and penalties. Pensions really don't offer that. They are a poor rate of return on your investment, and they can become somewhat complicated at the end of your service, trying to figure out all the different options. Is it going to be a plan that pays you for life, you and your spouse for life, you and your spouse for half life? There's lots of different options. It gets a little complicated for some people. Talk to your financial advisor about that. All right, the last type of account I want to talk about is an HSA, or a health savings account. Not everyone has this available to them. It depends on what type of insurance that they have for their health. If you have this available to you, I strongly suggest putting as much money into an HSA as you can. There are some advantages. Much like an IRA, it will lower your taxable income on your annual tax statement. The interest is tax-free, just like a Roth IRA. And money stays with you annually, so money carries over year after year after year. So it just builds, and it's an account in your name. Withdrawals for medical reasons, there's still no taxes. So you haven't paid tax on the money you put in there, you haven't paid tax on the interest, and if you withdraw the money for medical needs, there are still no taxes on that. How many places does this government give you a chance to make income, build wealth with it, and then spend that money without having income tax on it at any point in time? HSAs are pretty amazing. If you are under 65 and you withdraw the money for non-medical expenses, there is penalties. Over 65, there's no penalties, even if you pull it out for non-medical, but it is taxed as income at that point in time because you haven't paid taxes on that money. So keep that in mind. It doesn't grow a great rate of return, but the tax advantage is why this account is so good, and you will have medical needs and bills in your lifetime. It will happen. So inside and outside of your retirement accounts, you should diversify your money. You should have some money in bonds, some money in stocks, some money in international funds, some money in gold, silver, other things that diversify your portfolio. By doing this, you are trying to balance out the ebbs and flows of the stock market, bond market, gold market, all these different markets that can fluctuate and negatively affect your retirement. So diversifying eliminates a little bit of that risk. It helps balance out your portfolio. All right, so that might be a lot to digest. There's a lot of different accounts that you can fund your retirement through. Learn about what your work offers. If you work at a place that has a pension and they allow contributions, learn about it. Is there an advantage to making contributions into that? 401k, if you're not taking advantage of that at your work, do that. If they match, it's like getting a pay raise. If you have any other types of funds that are available to you, learn about that. I have a profit sharing plan at my work. I don't have to contribute to that, but I do contribute to it. I don't have to, but I do. And it's captured under a 401k Roth, so I can save up to $19,500 in there. Take advantage of those things. So it's a bigger Roth account for me than I could save at normally. Some people, the IRA makes more sense. They're pushing those boundaries of tax brackets, and it makes more sense. I like to know how much my retirement's going to be just by looking at that account. I prefer the Roth. I also live in a state that doesn't have state income tax, so I'm only paying federal income tax. I'm willing to pay my tax up front and put it into a Roth. If I was paying state income tax, IRA probably makes more sense. But I'd probably do both, since I could save some in the IRA and more into the 401k Roth. Learn what's available to you. HSA is a great place to save for your medical future. Take advantage of it if it's available to you. All right. Thank you all. And the last type of account I want to talk about is an HSA, health savings account. If you have the available,